Have you ever seen anything so cute? Oh, how cute. And his little bunny butt. If you want to learn how to make these, you're in the right place because I'm about to show you. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley and I'm the crochet designer slash business strategist here behind A Crafty Concept. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make an adorable bunny Lovey using a knitting machine and a little bit of crochet. Before we jump into the tutorial, I want to give a huge shout out to this video's coffee sponsor, and her name is Steph. Steph says, "Thank you for your positivity and all the help you provide to your community." My pleasure, Steph. I'm so glad you find my channel and my content positive and uplifting. That is a huge priority here at A Crafty Concept, and I'm really glad it is presenting itself that way to you. Thank you so much for being this video's coffee sponsor. I appreciate it deeply. It helps me get to continue to do what I love, which is put out free content for you guys here on YouTube every single week. If you would like to be a coffee sponsor, you can go to acraftyconcept.com/coffee and donate there to support the channel, and then you will get a shout out in one of my future videos. Now let's talk a little bit about the Addi bunny before we dive into the video. So this is a modification to my Addi bear that I released about a year ago. There's also a full crochet version of the Addi bear that you could make a crochet version of the Addi bunny by modifying it a little bit. In this video, I'm using Heart Huggee Fur yarn. It is a very textured faux fur yarn. It's a thin faux fur. It's not like a chunky faux fur. It's thinner, so it's easier to work with. So it's very good. It's a very good beginner faux fur yarn, and that's what we'll be using in this video. If you are a beginner and you have never made an Addi bear or an Addi bunny, I would suggest using regular worsted weight yarn. It's gonna look like this guy. This is going to be more beginner friendly, so you can get an idea of what is happening when you make this. If you've never made one before, I highly suggest starting with the regular worsted weight yarn. This is Hobby Lobby's I Love This yarn in the color linen. But if this is your second time, or if you've ever used faux fur on your knitting machine before, get excited for this guy. I'm also going to give you lots of tips throughout the video to help you use faux fur in your knitting machines. So even if you are a beginner, if you want to give it a try, go for it. It's a very beginner friendly tutorial with very beginner friendly steps, but I don't want you to get frustrated and give up. So if you see yourself getting frustrated because it's not working the way that you want it to, try with acrylic yarn first and then go back to making the faux fur version. For this bunny, I will be using my 46 needle Addi, my 22 needle Addi, and an H crochet hook. You also need a tapestry needle and a couple stitch markers, and that's everything you're gonna need. Let's go ahead and hop on over to my table and start making this little cutie. Okay, here is what we've got so far. This one was made with Hobby Lobby's I Love This yarn in the color linen, and this one was made with Heart Huggee Fur yarn. His little snout was made with I Love This yarn. Also, I apologize for the dog noise in the background. I can't make them be quiet, and if I put them out of my room, they will sit there and scream at the door, so it's a lose-lose situation. Here is my bunny in progress, made with, or for the moment yarn, and this is what it's going to look like. You can get a very good idea of what it's going to look like, but he's not finished yet. Hopefully I'll have him finished by the end of this video, and I can show you at the end what he's going to look like. But this fur is significantly harder to use than this fur. This fur is a good beginner fur, and then this one is going to be more experienced. The arms have to be made a different way. The body is, it's just much harder. So it's possible, it is possible, as you can see, but it's much harder. So we are going to be making this pattern with this fur instead of this fur. We're not going to use this type of yarn in this video because that is the yarn that we used in the original Addi bear video. We're going to start with the body. So I'm going to grab my 46 needle Addi knitting machine. Okay, we are very zoomed out so you can see what's happening here. Some of this will be undesirable looking. There's nothing we can do about it. So I'm going to grab my waist yarn first. The best tip I can give you for using faux fur yarn with your Addi is to use a thicker worsted weight yarn or a very thin bulky weight yarn as your waist yarn. My favorite is Brava Bulky by We Crochet. This is the yarn I will be using as my waist yarn because it's much easier to see the faux fur if your waist yarn is thicker versus thinner. So we're gonna start by doing like 4 or 5 rows of waist yarn on our Addi. And if you've never used an Addi before, this probably isn't a good beginner tutorial. I would start with the Addi Bear pattern, and it's linked in the description. That's gonna be more beginner paced for the sake of time, because that video is over an hour long, and I don't want all of them to be over an hour long. So I'm gonna do 4 rows of waist yarn, and then I will come right back. Now we're gonna switch to our Huggee Fur yarn. I am going to be using this pink because who doesn't love a pink bunny? Again, it's red Heart Huggee Fur. And we also need some pull yarn for the neck portion. So I'm going to grab some blush worsted weight acrylic yarn for my pull yarn. You're gonna need to get you a handful of it. I don't know how long this is, a couple feet. It needs to be able to do 1 full row in your Addi. So we're gonna set this aside, and then we're gonna grab our Huggee Fur yarn and make sure it's pulling nicely from the center. We are going to put the pink, I like to, when I close the lever here, I like to run my yarn like this so none of the little hairs are stuck. Now we are going to crank out 16 rows for the head. I'm gonna set my counter back to 0, and we're gonna get to 16 rows for the head using our pink yarn. And then you're gonna wanna go nice and slow. You wanna make sure this yarn goes down in every single loop. You wanna make sure this yarn works for your machine. Maybe do some practice runs before you get started. It is finicky, and this yarn is easier. So if you've never done this before, maybe start with this yarn. This yarn is definitely easier. You can find all the instructions to make the body in the Addi Bear video, and then come back to this video for the face and the ears. That's row 1. I'm gonna go all the way to 16, and I wanna show you, you can probably already see the faux fur is gonna be the right side, the side that the fur is sticking out on. So you can see that this side is this is the right side and this is the wrong side. On a knitting machine, it's made inside out. The right side is the inside, which is technically the back of our stitches. So that's one of the weirdest things about using faux fur. Okay, 16. Now I'm going to take my working yarn, put it around, like I'm going to put it into the center of this thing to get it out of the way, but it needs to go around this last loop here. It doesn't need to go under the black one. So it needs to make sure to go under this loop and then around this way and not under the black one. So I'm going to just drop it in like this. And this is just for 1 row of our pull yarn, P-U-L-L. Insert your pull yarn. Now we are going to crank 1 row, just 1 row with the pull yarn. Perfect, look at that. Look at that, excellent. So I'm gonna go ahead and trim this just so there's less mess happening on the inside. And then come back into this thing. Don't pull it too tight because it'll get knotted up. Make sure you're not stuck under the things. And then now we're gonna crank out the body. So the body is 43 more rows. Okay, that should be enough. Cut a very long tail this time because we are going to pick up each strand, and you wanna have enough wiggle room. So it's about 2.5 feet. Grab your tapestry needle. This one is plastic. It came with my machine. And now we're going to cast off by picking up each stitch all the way around. Okay, once we got the main body of our bunny, Addi bunny finished, we can take it off of our machine. The drape is gorgeous with this yarn. Absolutely love it. And now we need to make our inner head with the machine before we get rid of this machine. So to make the inner head, you just cast on with your worsted weight yarn, no waste yarn. You cast on with the yarn, crank out 16 rows. You cast off with the yarn. That's how we make the inner head. If you need to see that done, it is in the Addi Bear pattern, and there is like a timestamps list so you can jump to whichever part you need to see. Here is my inner head. I used pink because it needs to kind of match your fur color. And I didn't put a rattle noise in this one, but you can. And then your bunny is also a little rattler. Now you can remove your knitting machine off of your table. And then you're gonna wanna grab your 22 needle knitting machine. Now we are going to use our waste yarn again. We're going to cast on with our waste yarn for like 4 rows probably. Okay, cut your yarn, grab your pink or your faux fur yarn, and then we're gonna crank out 40 rows, 40. Okay, now you do want to leave a decently long tail on this one because this is what we're going to use to sew our ear onto our bunny. So a couple feet for the tail, and you're going to want to end with some waste yarn. Okay, and that's how you make the ear. You're going to want to do 2 of those because bunnies have 2 ears for majority of the time. And then we're going to make our little cheeks. And that will also be on the 22 knitting machine. Okay, now I have one of my ears finished. As you can see, that's made inside out. We'll fix it here later. Okay, I just found this in my scraps. This is Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek from Hobby Lobby in the color Linen. Don't need waste yarn for this. And we are going to crank out 17 rows. Okay, 17, cut a long tail, 2.5 feet or so to cast off. Easy peasy. And then once we get all of our pieces together, we can get rid of our second knitting machine and grab a tapestry needle and a crochet hook. I went ahead and got my H hook out of my whip bag. This is Clover Moore brand. Is my favorite hook brand to work with. It's the only hooks that I use. Highly, highly recommend them. 10 out of 10. Okay, let's start with the easiest part, which is our cheeks. Grab your cheeks and a tapestry needle. Do not cut your tails. I always mess that up. Do not cut your tails after you close up your cheeks. You need these to attach to your bunny face. So we're just going to run our tapestry needle under all these loops of our cheeks, both sides, so we can just make sure it's nice and secure, and then we're going to pull it nice and tight and not cut off our tails. Once I get all the way through, one full time. Okay, pull it nice and tight, and that's all we need to do. Do that on both sides, and then your cheeks are ready. Next, we are going to prepare our ears. You may need some stitch markers. We'll see. Flip it right side out, or whatever, right furry side out, and then thread your tapestry needle onto your pink yarn here, whatever your furry yarn is. Okay, now what we're gonna do is pick up each stitch before the waste yarn. So there should be 22 stitches because we used our Addi 22, and you should be able to see it clearly-ish because it's right, the one's right after, it's this guy. So here is the last, or the first, I should say, waste yarn. This right here is what we're going for. So this one right here should be our last one, our number 22. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark that so I know where I'm going. And then this one, you're gonna just make sure you count your stitches, count your loop grabbings, and just do the best you can. If you miss one, maybe you can sew it up after, but try your best to get 22. 1, and then pull it through. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to put my finger so I know where I stopped, because sometimes it's hard for me to see where I stopped. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Don't pull too tight or this yarn will snap. Do not pull too tight. I forgot my number. I think 19, 20, 21, 22. I bet that was 14 instead of 15. So this is 21. And then the last one, 22, is where my stitch marker is. Very simple, very easy. Now you can remove your waste yarn and either ball it up to use it again or put it to your scrap stash, whatever, use it as stuffing, whatever you need to do. And because we caught every single one of our loops, it's not going to fall apart on us. If we did not pick up all of our loops, there would be a big hole and we would be in trouble. So now we can gently, very, very gently pull that closed. Very, 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 very gently. And now, so like when we did here, I went under the loops. I cannot see my loops clearly. So I'm just going to go where my mind thinks they should be and try to re-secure this clinch a little bit. So, and you can kind of see them right there in the middle. I think I need to be going this way. Oh yeah, because it's inside out, technically. Just kind of re-secure those stitches as best you can. It's a little difficult because it's faux fur yarn, and that's okay. Just need to do the best you can. Okay. And then I'm not going to cut my yarn yet because one of these sides is going to have to be what I attach my ears to my head with. And if one of my tails is too short, I can't use that one. So I'm going to leave both of them and then choose the longest one to attach. So I'm going to do the same thing to this side. Okay, since I am not sure, this is going to be the end that I attach to the head, and this one is not. This bigger tail was my last row. I don't think it's going to matter with the faux fur which end you put to the top and which one you put bottom. It is going to knot it into the body of my ear with a double knot here. And then I'm going to hide my tail inside the body of my ear and then cut it off. Okay. Into the body of my ear. Like so. Okay. Kind of pull it a little bit so we got some clinch. Cut it and then pull back out so the tail hides nicely in there. Look at that. Okay, now I have both of my little bunny ears. These things are so squishy and plush. I have both of them ready. I'm going to set them aside. And now we are going to work on the body of our bunny. And the first thing you want to do is seam up the bottom before we do the neck hole. On the Addi bear, we did the neck hole first, but for the bunny, we're going to do the bottom first because if you do the neck hole first, you won't be able to get your scrap yarn out easily. So we're going to do the bottom first. So flip it furry side out so you can see what you're doing. This is going to be the most time-consuming part, is seaming up the bottom. So we're going for a straight line. It's going to look like this. This is the bottom of the regular worsted weight yarn bunny. We're going to grab our stitch marker. We're going to mark our last and our first on either side of our tail. Okay, so there's our tail. We're marking the last stitch and the first stitch. So there's 46 stitches. We're going to count over 23. That is halfway across. And I have an extra 2 stitch markers and we might need them. So we're going to count, including that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 is here, and then 24 is right next to that. So we are going to fold in half like this. Now we're going to hook these stitches into each other to close off the bottom. Now I have these stitch markers here because sometimes you lose track of the next one. That's 23, that's 24. I'm going to mark 22 and 25. Going to grab this one and pull it in through this one, and that is 2 loops that we've tied together. 1 on the hook, grab our second stitch, pull it through, that's 2. Now we're gonna go to the front, grab this stitch to get ready to pull it through, but move up our stitch marker to mark our next stitch. Pull it through for 3, then go over here where the stitch marker is, move it up, pull it through for 4, and keep doing that all the way down for a total of 46. Okay, we're almost done. This is 41, 42, 43, 44, and then the last 2 where we've already marked, 45, and the last one is 46. The stitch markers really help. Sometimes those can get lost. 46, and then this last one is going to be 47 or whatever. We're just gonna pull it through like that, but keep it kind of loose right now down here because we need to get this scrap yarn out now. And if this is too tight, that's gonna get stuck in the fibers. So we're gonna flip it inside out and get rid of our scrap yarn. As you can imagine, if the neck was already done, this would be very difficult because this is what you'd be working with. And I've done that before, and it is not easy, and it's stressful, and it takes way too much time. So we do the bottom first, and then we'll close up the neck hole. Okay, this last one is the one that usually gets kind of tangled. I'm just gonna be gentle and slow. Okay, perfect. That was nice. Usually it's not that nice. Now we're gonna flip it back right side out, and we can secure that tail nice and tightly this time, and then hide our tail within our work. A tapestry needle. Uh-oh, we don't want it popping through like that. We want it just in the body of our bunny. Pull it through. Make sure it's kind of like tangled, not tangled, but clumpy. And then when we clip it and straighten it out, it's nice and hidden in there. This is such a lovely fabric. My goodness. Okay, now we need to get ready to add the head. Okay, now we are going to make our arms. Quick little note, if you are using this type of yarn, this arm pattern will not work. I will put the instructions for this type of yarn arm pattern on the screen for you now. Take a screenshot, save it somewhere. That's what you will need to do to make arms using this yarn. This is what it will look like. But we're gonna be using this yarn. And the pattern is the same as the Addi bear, but I'm going to show it to you here for a little bit so you can get an idea of what it will look like made with the faux fur yarn. We're gonna start by making a slip knot and chaining 1. You're going to want to fairly gently single crochet 6 times into the center of your circle. You don't want to make them too tight or the little hair fibers will get caught when you're trying to close up your magic circle. I yarn under instead of the traditional yarn over. That's how I taught myself to crochet. It doesn't affect this pattern. You do whichever one makes sense for you. If I say yarn over and I'm yarn undering, forget it and just do whatever makes sense for you. So I'm going to single crochet 6 times into the circle. That's 1. And I'm going to go ahead and place a stitch marker in the top of the first one because that's where I need to join. Or that's where, anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we're going to take our tail and pull it gently to close our magic circle. Very, very gently. If you do it too tight, you will snap your yarn. I promise. Now we're going to increase in each stitch all the way around, giving us a total of 12 stitches. So the first increase is going to go in the stitch that we marked with our stitch marker, and a single crochet increase is just 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So remove my stitch marker. I'm going to place 2 single crochets in that stitch. That's 1, and that's 2. Now I'm going to mark my first one, my stitch marker. We're going to do that 5 more times for a total of 6 increases. So right in the next stitch, you can see it and you can feel it. 1 and 2. Next one, 1 and 2. Next one, 1 and 2. 2 more. 2 more increases, 1 and 2. Last increase, 1 and 2. If you were on the struggle bus and you were not able to do this, you can use acrylic yarn, like regular yarn, or I've seen people make arms on the 22 and then roll it up and then like seam it closed. Now I'm going to use my stitch marker to mark the last stitch in each row, and we're going to single crochet 1 time in each stitch all the way around for a total of 15 rows. Now, it's okay if you mess up. It's okay if you maybe increase somewhere and then skip a stitch somewhere. It's all going to come out in the wash, and you cannot tell with the faux fur yarn. So it's totally fine. So single crochet 1 time in each stitch all the way around. Now I can move up my stitch marker and get ready for round 4, which again is just going to be 12 single crochet stitches. You need to try to keep track of which round you're on. So maybe take a little piece of notebook paper and make little hash marks or something, because you won't be able to go back and count your rows. I'm going to do the rest of these off camera, and then we will start putting our bunny Lovey together. Okay, I just finished my last stitch. Now I'm going to tie off by joining with a slip stitch in the next space, leaving a very long tail, a couple feet, because we're going to use it to attach to our bunny body and pull it through. And then I'm going to secure this circle like we've done on all the other parts, and then hide the tail into the arm. And then we're going to make another one of these. You're going to need 2 arms for your bunny Addi bear. You don't have to cut your tail. You can just leave it nice and snug inside the arm of your bunny. You can add more stuffing if you want. I think the fur is fluffy enough, so there's no need. And I'm going to show you, I attach these arms a little differently than I do the Addi bear arms. In the Addi bear, we fold it in half and attach it this way to the body. I found a new method that I like better. We're going to pick up the front loop of each 12 stitches. So that's 1, 2, just the front loop, the loop closest to you, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 12 is going to be really close. I'm just not going to do 12. Okay, so I went under each of the front loops. Now I'm going to very, very gently pull my tail, very, very gently, so it doesn't snap. And it's going to clench closed my arm. And then I will attach it to the body. I find this easier. So do that for both of your arms, and then we will start adding things together. Okay, now we can get started putting this thing together. Make sure he's laying nice and flat, where the sides are where they should be. And I like to start with my little bunny snoot. So take your cheeks that you made and lay them on the face about where you want them to be. And then you could push pin them down if you want to, just to hold them in place while you make your stitches. We're going to stitch it on each side. We're going to go into this side, into the head, and then back out through the cheeks. Kind of tack it down. I'm going to do it again. There we go. And then leave this hanging and do the same for the other side. We're just going to tack it down. just like we did the other side. And then we are going to make our clinch in the middle. So you're gonna need some scrap, like dark colored yarn. I like to use black or asphalt gray. You're gonna need about 3 feet. I'm gonna use this Brava worsted weight in the color Asphalt Heather. 2 to 3 feet should be plenty. So mine's probably 3.5 feet even. Probably don't even need that much. But now that you have your black yarn, add it to your tapestry needle. Then we are gonna go into the face, like under where we want the bottom of the clinch to be, and then come out where we want the top of the clinch to be. Okay, imagine if it was clinched, where would you want it to be? So we're gonna go in about right here. It does not have to be exact or perfect. I'm about maybe an inch from the neck for my analytical friends. And then we're gonna pop right back out where the top of the clinch will be. It looks like maybe like 1.5 inches distance, maybe 2 inches, I don't know. You just do what's best for you, and then you can always change it if you don't like it. It's a very easy fix. You just pull it all the way out. So that's about how far they were. So like 1.5 inches probably. So now I'm just going to tie these together. And that's going to make the clinch stay. See how it's making a beautiful little shape? Nice and tight, and then double knot it so it does not move. Then this one is going to be hidden into the head, but we're going to do another swoop or 2 maybe of this one to cover up the knot we just did. So we're going to go back in towards the same spot and then back out near the same spot. And then again, near the same spot, and then back out near the same spot. That way we can just kind of hide that knot that we tied. Now I'm going to take both of these tails and come out over here and knot and hide them. So not this one, our 2 black ones. We're gonna start with this one because it's the shortest and it's gonna choose the distance that we go. Then go back down in the same, near the bottom, and then I'm gonna pooch out over here and try to be like between stitches, which is kind of hard to tell because of the inner head, but do the best that you can. And then you want to do the same thing with this tail. So back in the same spot, and then try to get it out the same stitch without getting any stitches caught between them. Like you want them coming out the exact same spot. Then we're going to knot these together. As close down to the base of the head as you can, but be careful not to pick up any of the pink fibers or whatever color your fur is. Pull any out that you accidentally snagged with your knot. Okay, and now I'm going to use my tapestry needle again to hide that down into the body of the head. Putting both my tails in the tapestry needle at the same time. Okay, back down into the exact same hole where those are coming out of, and then pooch it out anywhere else. Pull it on in there. And then you can kind of refinagle it a little bit and make sure that they are hidden inside. Pull them nice and taut and then cut them off, and then they will shoot into the head. It's kind of hard to do with one hand, with one set of hands. Okay, done. Now we need to secure the rest of the cheeks. Can you see that this cheek looks a little bigger than this one? I'm just going to pull my smaller cheek out a little bit so they look the same size. There we go. Should be okay. And now we are going to make sure your cheeks are not crooked and pin them in place with your tails just by going into the head and then up through the cheek and then back down into the head and then up through the cheek. All the way around. I'm gonna go this way until I get to the other tail, and then I'll probably use that one for the top half. Okay? Doesn't have to be perfect, it's just tacking it down. and it's going to be kind of hidden under everything. So we're just tacking it down, but we're not looping. We're not going like from the outside in like a whip stitch. We're going in and in, so you can't really tell where the stitches are at. So into the head, come back out. I guess I'll just keep going with this same string. Come all the way back around, back in, pooch back out. Doesn't matter where you're coming from. Just trying to secure it down. Okay, and now we're back to where we started almost. Okay, now we can knot and hide. I'm going to stick this down into the head and we're gonna tie it off like we did the black. So I'm gonna come back out through a stitch back here, and I'm gonna do the same thing with the other side. Try to go out through the same stitch and then knot it just like we did for the other one. So you're gonna need some nose color of your choice. Got it. This is, I love this yarn, but I'm not sure the name of the color. It's in my scrap pile. Maybe about 4 feet, because you need to be able, this sometimes takes a few passes to make it perfect. So give yourself more than you think you're gonna need here. And then we're gonna go in through the head and out through right here. That's where we're coming out at. So I'm gonna go in over here, making sure to go through some stitches. And then we're gonna pop back out right at the point where the top of our cheek crack is. Oop. Okay. Leave a tail long enough over here for eyeing off and hiding into the head so it's not too tiny. Now we are going to embroider the nose by a million passes. So we're gonna go into the head and then out at the tip, and then into the head and then out at the tip, over and over and over. I am gonna probably do most of this to music, but I will do a couple passes here. So I want my nose to be about right here. So that's the spot that I'm eyeballing for. So I'm gonna go here and then back out the same spot. And if you don't like it, you can cut it off and try again with a different color. And I'm gonna go to the other side in the same distance. Pop it back out. Okay. I'm gonna do that side again, going a little bit further up and a little bit further out. Okay, and then I'm basically just gonna fill it in from edge to edge. Okay, my nose is almost the way that I like it. I'm gonna try to, this one's a little humpy. I'm gonna try to pull it down a little bit if I can. If I can't, it's no big deal because it's handmade and each one's unique, okay? Okay, there we go. Now that I've got my nose finished, I'm gonna go into here and then pop it out where we started, making sure to come out the exact same hole and hide it in the head like we've done a million times by now. Now we need to make his little eyeballs. So I'm going to use some more of the black that I used for the cheek crack, and we're gonna make 2 little sleepy eyes, just like this. We're gonna use our tapestry needles. We're gonna go into the head, in between some stitches, make like a nice little hole, and we're gonna pop out where we want the right side of our eyes to be. So right here's where we're popping out. And you can always move it around if you need to. Leave enough of a tail for hiding it. So this is gonna go kind of like that a little bit. So if you wanted it to be further out, you can. I'm just gonna leave it like that. So we're gonna go in to where the left spot would be, and then we're gonna come out where the point needs to be. So like middle bottom. I went in where the left side of the eye will be, and I came out where the point or the swoop of the eye will be. So it's like middle bottom of the area. Then we're going to pull very, very gently. Okay, and now we are going to put our needle through that little loop and very gently pull everything into place. Like so. Okay, and now we need to make the second eye. So I'm going to come out about right here. That's where I'm planning on coming out at. So they are symmetrical. So about right here. So I'm going to go in where almost in the exact same spot where that's coming out at. I'm going to go back in, but it's around the eye so it will hold. And I'm going to come out right here. So it's symmetrical as best as I can. Don't pull too tight because then you'll mess everything up. Okay, that is my best eye I've done yet. Look at this one. Look how chunky. Look how beautiful. Hooray, hooray. Okay, now we're going to go in where we want to be symmetrical with this point, and then back out where we want to be symmetrical with this point. Looking pretty good, I think, symmetrical wise. Back up through there, and very, very gently make everything nice and snug. Very gently. Okay, we're going to go back into, let's make sure. Okay, this one is too far over. Can you see that? It's too far over, so I'm going to pull it out and try it again. I think even the starting this, so I'm going to even put that back in there and scoot it over. So I'm going to go back in the exact same hole, making sure I don't go over any thread or yarn, and then pooch out right next to it because it's really not that much over. It's just a little bit over. Make sure that hides in there nicely. Okay, and kind of envision it. Yes, I think that's better. Go back into that hole where you came out of, and then back out of this hole way over here. Same hole. And then pull it tightly, carefully, not tightly. Very, very carefully, and make sure your eye falls into place. Beautiful. That one's not as good as my first one, but it's okay because I'm very proud of my first one. Okay, now we can very gently knot these and tie them off. Perfect. Now he's got his little sleepy eyes, and you can go back around them and kind of trim off the fur around the eyes if you want to. Let's add our ears and our arms, and we're almost finished. Just eyeball where we want them to fall. They need to be fairly symmetrical. Let's just put a point where the center is. Should be about right there. And then we will go according to that with our ear placement. Now to attach the ear, we're going to whip stitch it and eyeball where I want it to go. And remember that once you secure it, it's going to be a little bit more towards the center than where you start. I'm going to go ahead and pin this one down, even though it'll probably fall out because that's always what happens to me. We'll try it anyway. Whip stitch this one in place. So we're going to go into the head and then back up through the ear. Into the head. And then back up through the ear. Be careful not to pull your ear string too tight or it will snap. Into the head. Back out through the ear. And just do that for as many times as you want until you feel like it's secure. I don't like to cut my yarn until I get both ears attached, because if it's necessary and I need to try to pull one out, I can try it to readjust like I did with the eyeball. Hopefully it doesn't come to that because it would be very difficult to do with this faux fur yarn. So we're going for a first try here. So I've got my first ear attached. Keeping this one where it's at. Let's take a look at it. Oh, so cute. Now we leave that tail there and do this other one. Take a look at what you got. Now we can tie off and hide our ear tails. So to do that, we're gonna go into the head and then out under the ear like this. Like this. And that's where I'm going to knot my yarn, okay, into the body of the head and hide it down in there. Do the same for the other side. And then it's time to add the arms. Okay, both ears attached, tails are sewn and hidden. Now we can add our little arms. So the easiest way to do the arms is make sure the body of your bunny is perfectly flat. Then we're going to take our first arm, and we're gonna do just like we did with the ears, into the body, into the arm, into the body, into the arm. And you're gonna line it up right with that fold line. Line your arms right off of the neck with that fold line. So for this side, it's gonna be about right here. So I'm gonna go into the neck area, out the head area. So I'm getting right over that seam, right over that pull yarn, and then pull it tight without breaking my yarn. That would be so sad, okay? And then we're gonna go into the arm and then back out. Now you can make sure it's still lined up properly, and repeat that for 4 or 5 times until you are confident that your arm is nice and secure. We don't want any arms popping off. You want to make sure you get the whole top of your arm fully secure, not just in the center, like one line, the whole hee-hawing thing. Let's take a look at it. So it feels like it's being a little weird in the front. So I'm going to go grab it and squish it kind of more towards the center a little bit. So I'm gonna grab this edge towards the front of my arm, and then I'm going to pull it back in towards the center of the join, kind of forcing it to take the shape that I want. Take a look at that. Very cute. Your tail, and then hide it in your body, and then cut it, and then attach your second arm, and then we will take a look at what we've done here. Okay, here is our completed bunny Addi bear. Isn't it just so freaking cute? I love the softness of this yarn. I love the drape. So we made this one today, and then this is what it looks like made with acrylic yarn, and then this is what it looks like made with the cream colored yarn. They're all so cute and so bunny-licious. I wanted to show you one more thing before we ended this video. I wanted to show you, you could add a tag to your bunny loveys. So you could do something like this and sew it onto the bottom or even the back center if you wanted to. That just reminded me that I wanted to put a little cottontail on the back. I'm going to attach it. It would have been better to attach it while it was open, but I forgot, so we'll be able to do it. I'll just do it here on camera. Tricked ya, you thought we were done. I thought we were done too. Here we go. Gonna grab some of this yarn to make my little cottontail with. Okay, got my cream colored red Heart Huggee Fur yarn. It's gonna be quick and easy. So make a magic circle, single crochet 6 into the magic circle. 1, 2, 5, and 6. Gently pull it closed, increase in each stitch for a total of 12. Now I'm going to single crochet 1 time in each stitch all the way around for 2 rows, which is 24 single crochets. So I'm just going to count to 24 instead of trying to like count my rows and stuff. So I'm just going to do 24 single crochets. Then we're going to decrease 6 times. Okay, let me show you how to do a decrease. It's hard to do, it's hard to see with the fur, but maybe I can talk you through it. Insert your hook into the first stitch, grab your yarn, pull up a loop, insert your hook into the second stitch, grab your yarn, pull up a loop. You've got 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. That's 1. We're going to do that till we have 6. That's 2. Mark the stitch that's the next first half of my decrease. If you want to, you can add a little bit of polyfill in here. I don't think it's going to be necessary. I think it's going to pooch out just fine. So I'm not going to do it. I grabbed some, but I don't think we need to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and sew in my first tail so I can hide it inside the ball before I close it up. Now I'm going to leave the tail in the ball, so that counts as a little bit of stuffing. Got 2 more decreases, and then we can close her up. Slip stitch either in the same spot or the next spot, it doesn't matter. You're not going to be able to see it. Cut a long tail, couple feet, close up your circle, and then attach it to the bunny. I'm going to close up my circle just like I closed up the arm by lifting up every front stitch first. Only 6 this time, and then very gently pull your yarn. And it's not wanting to pull. It's not wanting to pull because of the fur getting caught, but I'm not going to stress about it, because that's the part that's going to be against the bunny body anyway, so what difference does it make? Now I have my little cottontail. Oh, I'm going to sew it onto the back center of my bunny without going through to the front. So we're just keeping it on the back piece, not the front piece. So find the center without picking up the front bit. Okay. Oh my goodness, look at it. And now I'm just going to go into the poof all the way across. Make sure not to, okay. Pull it all the way through. Now it's going to be fits. There we go. And then back through the body of the thingy, not getting the front, okay? Very important. Do it a couple times until you feel, I'm just going to kind of go like at a star angle, like if this was my circle, I'm going to go like this, you know what I mean? And attach it all the way around. It doesn't have to be perfect, like a perfect star, but just get a variety of angles. And that will help it be super duper secure. Look how cute. Oh, I love it. Very nice addition. Okay, now we're going to tie it and knot it down here into the body, making sure not to go to the front. Okay, and then hide the string into the body of the bunny, making sure not to pull through the front of the bunny. Off, perfect, nice and snug. Oh my goodness, have you ever seen anything so cute? Okay, now our bunny is complete. Perfect and cute and snuggly little bunny. Ugh, I love it so much. I love the little cottontail. Let's hop on over in front of the yarn wall, and I will send you guys off into the world to make all of the Addi bunnies your little heart desires. Thank you so much for hanging out today, and I hope you loved the Addi bunny tutorial. You might also hear me call it the Addi bear bunny, which is, it kind of sounds funny, but I'm probably gonna say that. I hope you like this pattern. These would make excellent Easter gifts or baby shower gifts in this spring, so definitely add these to your list of makes if you haven't already. I did mention that I was going to make one with regular faux fur and share that here with you guys. He's still not finished. I was able to add the arms, but he's still not finished. So be sure to follow me over on Instagram, because I will share this guy as soon as he is complete, and he's going to be so super cute. I can't wait to share him with you guys. So follow me on Instagram so you do not miss that post when it goes live. Also, while you're doing that, go ahead and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a single video that comes out. I have more Addi bear style loveys coming out this year in 2023, as well as free crochet business tip tutorials, Canva tutorials, Etsy tutorials, and of course free crochet patterns. So definitely subscribe if that is your jam. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. That helps me know that this is the type of content you want to see, and it also helps me show up in the YouTube algorithm so I'm able to continue to grow my channel and reach more crocheters and teach them all kinds of business tips and free crochet pattern type things. So thank you for being here. I hope you have a great day, a wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you in the next video.